So, good evening, dear friends, in the room and also externally, internally and externally. Welcome to the Tuesday evening session. And as usual, we'll begin with a period of meditation practice, 40 minutes or so. And I'll offer a little guidance to get us started. So please all feel free to relax, perhaps closing the eyes if that's helpful. Bringing the attention more fully into the body, awareness of body, this place, this location. Coming into a brighter, sharper awareness of feeling. How do we know we have a body? See where the attention moves. And it can be so helpful to start with a sense of whole body. So to notice how we're sitting, what is the posture like? Let it be straight, let it be upright, energized. And it can be so helpful to just allow the attention to rest for a while in the base of the body. Feel the weight. Feel the firmness of the body touching the ground, touching the earth. Feel that meeting. How is it? That sense of solidity or weight or pressure. Body sitting. Maybe feeling the feet touching the ground. Perhaps folded up under the body, or if we're on a chair, the lowest part of the body. Bring the attention down there. As if we're rooting ourselves. Allowing the awareness to settle. These very obvious, very clear feelings. Experiences of sitting. Earth element. Starting with this calming, arriving, we can allow the attention to investigate more subtle movements, feelings, happenings around the body. Anything fluttering here? Anything quivering? Feeling the skin, surfaces, tingling, vibrating, so alive, so receptive, feeling cold, feeling warm, feeling the touch of the clothing. And so we can allow the attention to move around the body, externally and internally. Internally, can we feel the belly? What's happening in the abdomen? Can we feel any movement? Can we feel the breath here? The expansive, the contracting energy. Of the breath. Can we feel the chest area? Moving constantly with the breath. Can we feel the breath elsewhere in the body? Can we perhaps use the rhythm of the breath as a way of investigating the body? Feel the breath all around the body, every part of the body responding to the energizing in-breath, to the relaxing, releasing, letting go of the out-breath. Observing the breath, observing the body in these ways, how clear it becomes, how obvious it becomes that there's a constant change, shifting, moving, arising and passing phenomena. And we can open to this reality as we deepen and broaden the attention here. Allow ourselves to really notice that this experience is one of arising and passing, coming and going, constant change. Even the steady, solid sense of sitting, even if we have very consistent experiences of pain or discomfort in this part or that part of the body, the sense of continuity can be very strong. And yet, can we dive in, investigate more closely, bring the attention to bear, and see how even the most solid seeming experiences are made up of arisings and passings, comings and goings, constant change. Can we breathe into such areas of seeming solidity and see how things are changing, like the flame of a candle. It's constantly changing. The same light, the same flame. Not so. The fuel is gradually burning up. The wax is diminishing. And in the same way, when we observe even the most solid seeming, powerful, intense, painful feelings, even those, as we can observe, stay steady, investigate deeply, so the fuel is getting burned up. I can see there's nothing consistent here, but there is a rising and passing, constant change. And so we can investigate, work with, open up to strong sensations And from time to time, we can move elsewhere. Let our awareness be moving around the body. See if we can notice what's happening in every part of the body. And then if there's a call to investigate more deeply any particular areas, we can touch in again there. So we're working in these ways with body awareness. We can sit together. Just allowing all the attention, all the energy, all the goodness of our wish to investigate the Dhamma, all our effort, all our energy to bring it to bear. Bring it to the body, the temple, our place of practice. So, dear friends, we can just gradually emerge from our solitary practice, internal practice, opening the eyes, having a stretch, moving around if we need to get comfortable. Allow the body what it needs. Venerable Kachin, could you put the plant on? Thank you. Thanks. So big warm welcome again to all of you, and especially warm welcome to Wat Buddhanasom and Venerables who may be tuning in this evening. Thank you for joining us. And Venerables here also. I'd like to offer a few words on Dhamma. To begin, I'd like to pay homage to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So we are moving through the Satipatthana Sutta during our winter retreat here at Dhammadharani Monastery and Aranya Bodhi Hermitage. And we've come to the section on Dhammanupassana. And it's been quite exciting to hear that at Abhayagiri, they've been considering this theme of Dhammanupassana throughout their winter retreat. So this is a wonderful connection, and recommend tuning into those teachings also. This section, there's so much and so little time to speak about it. But what I'd like to do is to just, move through and see where it takes us. We've talked a little bit about the hindrances. This is the first part of this section. The Buddha is asking us to investigate the mental objects, the mind contents. You could just call this thinking, this aspect of our experience. But it's very interesting and uplifting and helpful to see that in the Satipatthana Sutta, when the Buddha speaks about the Dhammas, the mental contents, the mental objects, he speaks about them in certain ways. He gives us certain lenses through which to see our experience in this mental realm. He speaks about the hindrances. And we had a guided meditation on Sunday where we were focusing on the hindrances. He also speaks about the khandhas, these aspects of ways in which we can say we experience our world. 5 different ways in which we experience our world. And I think I'll start to say a little bit about this. Just want to ask anyone who's not muted, if you could kindly mute yourself. Thank you. So the five khandhas, the Buddha gives us here in Dhammanupassana ways of understanding our experience, ways of seeing. He speaks about body, feelings, perceptions, mental contents, or sankhara, and consciousness. So here we can see that in our meditation practice, this is yet another way in which we can understand what we're experiencing. And it's very helpful to bring in another teaching from the Lord Buddha on these five khandhas, these heaps of experience, where he describes them as, he gives similes to describe each of these five. The body, the Buddha said, is like a lump of foam washed up on the seashore. In our meditation this evening, we were considering how changeable our experience is of this body, this form. We look at other people, they look so solid. But when we look inside, we recognize, don't we, that there's no solidity here. And we can remember that, can't we, when we look externally at others? It's the same situation. Like a lump of foam washed up on the shore. I used to live in New Zealand and we had some really wild beaches there, probably the same here in California. We would have sometimes very rough seas and the foam would be washing up on the shore and it would be blowing around, coming and going. Such a changing scene. Can we recognize, can we open to this reality of these bodies so that as we sit, as we meditate, we can tune in to the changing nature here? And yes, it can be difficult if there's very strong, very intense, painful feelings, say, that have a feeling of being very continuous, never-ending, reliably, predictably present for us. And yet, there is this invitation to open to the reality of, even here, the kind of ability to perceive the flickering nature of our experience, arising and passing. In every section here in Dhammanupassana, we have the refrain, the Satipatthana Sutta refrain. So in relation to the body, we're invited to notice its arising, its passing, both its arising and passing. To notice internally, to notice externally, that it's the same. The situation here is the same for all the others. There's no body I'm particularly fond of, attached to, who is going to stay the same, even for a moment. This constant change, these lumps of foam, just to open to this reality. And in the refrain, the Buddha also says, all one can simply attend with bare attention to body, in this case, body. The second of the khandhas, these heaps of experiences, Vedana, feeling, which the Buddha likened, didn't he, to bubbles. He gave the simile of the water, the rain, hitting a body of water, a lake or a pond or a puddle, and the bubbles that arise, momentary, so transient, so changeable. The Buddha compared perception to a mirage. As we meditate, we are well served when we give attention to the body and give attention to feelings, because there's such authenticity here. They're genuine. The body doesn't deceive us. It's interesting to note this, that feelings, that body are what they are. They're of the earth. They're of nature. There's an honesty, a sincerity in what can be experienced here. And then we move into the realm of the mind. And this is where we start to notice that there is a sort of movement away from the truth. Most often, there's a deceptive quality here. And the Buddha, described this for us with these beautiful similes. So as we sit, we pay attention to the body, we pay attention to feelings. We may have other processes happening, mental processes. We can be aware of them. Naming and labeling our experience. We hear a sound and the mind will very quickly figure out what it is, seemingly. Is it a bird? Is it the rain? Is it the wind? And we don't necessarily have to do this. If we really focus our attention on the first two khandhas of body and feeling, we are able to hear, smell, taste, touch without any past experience coming in. We can simply see what is seen. In the seeing, there is just the seeing. In the hearing, just the hearing. But we may notice that quite often we're not just seeing, hearing, feeling, being present, but we're having perceptions around what's happening. And the Buddha said these perceptions, this natural quality of the mind, which names and labels and sort of pigeonholes our experience for us, makes sense of the world. He said, yet, this is like a mirage in the desert. It's not real. It's a very powerful simile to really consider. The Buddha's telling us that perceptions are false. In their very nature, we cannot perceive without some distortion coming in. Isn't that interesting just to consider? So that when I have the sense of knowing what's heard, what's seen, what's felt, etc., can I be sure of that? No, I can't. Can I have a sense of uncertainty? Not sure. This is not sure. This is not certain. It seems this way, but I can't be sure. Can I let go of this sense of making sense of experience and come back to what I know to be real, what I know to be true, this awareness that doesn't label, that doesn't, categorize? Can I rest in bare attention? And it's not that we don't perceive. We can be aware of perceptions. but to have this understanding that once we move into this realm of perceiving, we're starting to have the tinge of ignorance come in. How does it feel when I have this perception, what's happening here in the body? Can I come back to base, come back into the temple and allow the perceptions to deconstruct? And then the fourth khandha, the fourth heap of our experience in this particular paradigm from the Buddha is sankhara, sort of mental phenomena. The Buddha said, all these thoughts, memories, concepts, views, opinions, values, which we hold to be true because they're my thoughts, we tend to relate to them as mine. We tend to hold them dear. We tend to sense them as true and right because otherwise we wouldn't have them. We'd have different thoughts and ideas. The Buddha said, all sankhara, all mental formations, he said they're like a plantain tree. Plantain tree, you can strip away the bark, pull off, layer after layer of bark to see if you can get to the heartwood, to the center, see what's there. What is the essence of this being? Stripping off layer after layer, a plantain tree, what happens? You take off the last few layers and inside, there's nothing. It's hollow. There's no heartwood. There's just empty space. So powerful, this simile. Can we do this work? Can we, in our meditation practice, notice, yes, thoughts come. We have patterns of thinking. We have very, clear and concrete values and senses of the way it should be or the way it is, or memories that seem so definite and real. Can we allow this process of stripping away? It's not so easy if we dive into the sankhara, if we roll along with the thinking processes. It's not so easy because the tendency is to hold fast, isn't it, to them and to make them mine and to really closely identify here. So can we rest in the temple, sit in the temple? How does it feel when these thoughts arise? Can I bring the attention back to the body and see what's happening here? And when we can do this, we can start to experience thinking as a process that's sort of happening, but it's not me and mine. I don't have to identify with this. I can see the mind sort of unraveling here, throwing up, bringing up all the thoughts, all the ideas, all the memories, and I can stay steady with the attention rooted in the body. And the layers start to peel away, don't they? The deconstruction happens. because the mind wants to relax. The mind wants to be free. It just needs to have the space, the willingness here for us to let go of this process. Stop trying to interact with it. Stop trying to reify it, solidify it, but just to let it flow. Let it flow. Let it change. Let it be what it is, arising and passing. Arising and passing. Not personal, not substantial, not solid, not fixed. In just the same way. And when we observe this body, we start to deconstruct that sense of solidity. So with the thoughts, we can recognize their insubstantial nature. And as the Buddha said, completely hollow, empty, arising due to causes, lasting for a while, and then passing away. And we can allow ourselves to free up from this sense of somebody, this sense of a world, constructed world of thoughts that we've been inhabiting. It can be a bit destabilizing, can't it? It can be a little bit shaky at times. We can start to wonder, well, what's left? If I'm letting go of all of these, ways in which I've made my space here in the world, I've sort of nested in the world, I've made sense of the world. But this path of practice is a path of letting go, isn't it? And everything has to go. And we can experience freedom as we loosen up, soften our attitudes, recognize that our memories are not really very authentic at all, very colored, aren't they? Very limited. And so is all of this thinking. It's limited, it's limiting, it's paritta chitta, small mind. And as we are willing, courageously, to just let the layers peel away, to approach this understanding of emptiness, we can really start to relax and experience well-being, experience happiness, experience freedom. It's a kind of leap of faith sometimes. We're leaping into the unknown or stepping into the unknown. But this is the way. The path is unknown to us. Isn't it true that we often have a feeling of knowing how we practice sankhara around the meditator and the practice and the Dhamma and the nibbana, the goal that we're working towards. But let's be willing to let these layers strip away and recognize that this path is mysterious. We don't really know until we're there. All we can do is follow the Buddha's guidance, follow the Buddha's instructions, and allow ourselves to open to the unknown. Not sure. Good to question our every thought. Not sure. It's not certain. Just because I think this is right is not necessarily so. Can I have a question mark at the end of every thought? Can I practice in such a way that as the thoughts and feelings arise, I focus more on how it feels? How does that thought feel? What's happening here? Can I allow the thoughts to come and go? As the Buddha says in the refrain, can I focus on their arising and passing? Let them go, let them pass, let them flow. And as we do this, we really do get the bigger, broader view, don't we? So we start to see how this one's constructed, how this mind is constructed, how this mind is a product of karma. Thoughts arise due to causes. When I don't add any fuel to those fires, I can see them slowly but surely go out. Can I watch that? Can I open up to the unknown? And the fifth of these khandhas, these heaps of our experience, these ways in which we experience our world, is consciousness. The awareness. As we practice over many years, we generally start to make more of this aspect, don't we? Because we're giving energy to this awareness, consciousness itself, that which can observe, that which can see, that which can know. The Buddha said, didn't he, this consciousness, it's like a magician's trick. It's an illusion. It's deluded. It's not real. Imagine a magician's trick where we're led to believe a certain thing, and actually there's something else going on. This is a simile that's really worth contemplating. There's a sort of gradation to these khandhas, in my understanding, starting with body. Body like a lump of foam, so insubstantial. As we practice, it's not so difficult to recognize this body. I can't really say that I have control over it. I can't really say it's mine. Yes, it has its own trajectory, and there's a sense of inhabiting this, it being embodied here, but surely, it has its own karma with feelings, bubbles, not so difficult to begin to see how they arise and pass and how insubstantial they are, how changeable they are, how not worth identifying with they are. And we can separate out, we can become a bit more dispassionate over time towards feelings. And to see perceptions as a mirage, to have that little question, to have that doubt, to have that willingness to not believe in them, but to see them for what they are, arising and passing, not personal, due to causes. Again, flow of karma. We can observe perceptions from this dispassionate viewpoint, if we're wise. And with sankhara, now this gradation, it becomes more personal. It feels more intimate, doesn't it? What I think, what I think. These are my thoughts. They're so close to the sense of home, to the sense of me. But we can, through our meditation practice, begin to peel away the layers. And I love this image of peeling away, because it's like there's a certain way of thinking, and then we stay steady and we stay present, embodied, feel the thoughts, feel them, and they will change. And there will be a sense of different layers of experience. I'll have all sorts of constructs. And as those constructs start to deconstruct, something else will arise. There is a sense of layering here. And slowly but surely, we can go deeper and deeper, moving away, letting go, and coming to the realization of emptiness here. Not my thoughts. Coming and going, arising and passing. This is our work. And then we get to consciousness. Oh, my goodness. This is the root of our identity. This is what takes birth. This is what meditates. This is the seer, the knower. And the Buddha said, a magician's trick. We are deluding ourselves, aren't we? Whenever we relate to consciousness as me or mine, as home base. Can we deconstruct? Can we recognize that consciousness too is arising and passing? We can observe consciousness internally, and we can observe consciousness externally. Are they different? Can we recognize that the mind, deluded, magician, very clever, very tricky, is constructing consciousness out of what? The sense of my consciousness is being constructed every moment out of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, out of body awareness, perceptions and thoughts, feelings, all that can be experienced. What does the magician do? The magician weaves it all together, constructs it into a sort of tunnel. There's one moment, one happening. And what does consciousness do? Deluded consciousness will weave together all the moments and make them into time, like a tunnel. It's like we're going through a tunnel that's been created. And that tunnel is like me, my ego, myself. And all of this is a trick. It's an illusion. It's very compelling. And it is to be let go of. Can we recognize consciousness as a momentary arising and passing? Arising and passing. No two moments have to be strung together. Can we simply be here? Can we let go of the past? Can we not move into the future? Can our presence, this sense of the ability to observe reality, can we allow it to deconstruct this fifth khandha as well? Can we allow consciousness to be seen for what it really is? Arising due to causes, arising and passing every moment. And so the whole world is turning, is moving, is changing. And really all we have to do is allow ourselves to pay attention. If we give our full attention here in the Satipatthana Sutta, at the end of the sutta, the Buddha says, if we can give our full attention to this reality, to the Dhamma, Dhammanupassana, then the heart is freeing itself every moment. And there is a deconstruction, there is a burning up of the fuel. We're reversing the karma, the wheel of Dhamma can turn in the direction of freedom, so that instead of following the worldly stream, the worldly flow of constructing, of making more of identifying with, of reifying, of holding on to, can we go in the reverse direction and allow the mind to continually deconstruct, peel off the layers, see the bubbles, see the foam, recognize the mirage, and know the magician's trick. We just have to understand, we just have to know, to see, to allow this process. And the karmic flow that's brought us here, we start to recognize, don't we? It reverses. We're coming out of suffering. We're coming out of delusion. We don't have to make that happen, do we? Fortunately, we just have to wake up to these truths, contemplate these similes, consider them deeply. And as we sit and meditate, let's be willing to allow ourselves to step into the unknown. Give a lot of emphasis on the refrain in the Satipatthana Sutta that comes after each and every teaching. As here on the teaching of the Five Khandhas, so in every other section, the Buddha's inviting us, give energy, give attention to change, to the arising and passing of experience. This enables us to recognize no two moments need to be strung together to create anything at all. Rest in the present, flow with it, and keep stepping into the unknown courageously, nobly. Ewam.